Okay, guys, the ship is done being painted. I mean, it's pretty much finished overall. But I just realized I never really showed you guys how I got the effect on the exhaust system of the ship. The burned expect on the engine nozzles. So we're going to cover that now, and I'm just going to show you exactly what I used and how I used it. So let's get to the paint booth, Batman. Now, the process I used to paint the exhaust on the ship is actually really very simple. I use this one product, which I'm going to put right up here. This is called T041 Smoked Effect, and it really gives you a great burned, smoky appearance when you use it. Now, the way you use it is what makes all the difference. What I like to do when I'm using it is I spray just to the edge of the exhaust nozzles so that you're only basically getting a heavy amount of paint right on the tip of the exhaust nozzle, and the overspray going back is what gives you the burned metal effect that gives you that used, burned, overheated metal look. I think that's the best way that I can explain it. And only the tips where the actual flame is coming out of the exhaust is what gets singed and burned to a blackened look. And this is a great color because it's got sort of it's a very brownish tint. It's almost like a wash is how I think I can explain this that makes any sense. And once you spray the edge and the overspray just kind of travels up the engine, it gives you that really great appearance of something that's metal that's been overheated. So we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to finish up the painting on here, and then you'll see the final product. Well, I mean, I guess you guys have kind of already seen it since I showed it right at the beginning. But let's see, and we'll take a look at how it comes out. Okay, guys, and here we have the finished effect. You can see I still have all the plugs in the engine and outlets because I didn't want paint getting all over the LEDs that I have in there. But now, since that worked out so well, I'm going to be putting small scorch and singe marks around the hull of the rest of the ship. That adds to the used, worn look, and also adds a little bit of the look of it's been through a few battles, because the little singe marks that I'm going to place around the body here and there just looks sort of like laser blasts from a TIE fighter may have impacted the hull. I think it's really going to add to the look of the entire ship. Alright guys, now that the ship is done, now we're going to get started on all of our base panels. You saw how I put them all together in the last video, and now it's time to add some color to them. Now the first color I'm going to start with is the Mr. Hobby Aqueous Gundam color. I'm using Gundam White. It's not exactly a pure white. It's almost got a tiny little hint of gray to it, which makes it a little bit of a cooler off-white. I'm going to spray that over the black, and I'm going to spray it using a random pattern with the airbrush so that I can get a little bit of the black peeking through. As we want a weathered look, we don't want it to be a super stark white. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back with the next step. Okay guys, now we're putting the base together. We've already painted up all of the panels on the base, added all of our detailing as you saw in the last video, and now we're gluing them all to the plate that's going to hold the base onto the box. As you can see here, I'm gluing all the panels down. Now you can see what I was trying to replicate here by using all of the lower pieces here to just fill in and just greeblize the gaps between the panels. Now, I did notice that after I glued them down, they didn't exactly sit as straight as I would like. I'm going to live with that because they're already glued down and I don't want to rip this whole thing apart. But I do really like the way all of the panel work came out. The piping going from panel to panel really gives it the look of some sort of ship's hull, or I don't know, some kind of sci-fi planet surface of some kind. So I'm really happy with the way that's coming out. Now, when I was putting this together, I needed the paneling to sit just slightly above my tank tread greebles here. So what I had to do was had to make spacers to make sure, well, let me not spill everything, to make sure that the panels would sit raised above my greebles there. Because I did want to give the appearance that all of that is going on underneath the surface. That's all that gives it a really mechanized look. I guess is the best way that I can put that. So I needed this to sit just right above where those greebles lie. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces left to put on. Now, this one here will have lights that light up and give us a little bit of lighting there. This one also, which I still have to gloss coat, is also going to have a little bit of lighting showing through there. I just thought I'd throw that in there. I probably is not even going to be very visible, but I just thought I'd put it in just as a goof, because, you know, I'm still learning all about lighting and how to set all of these things up. So this is, again, a really cool learning experience for me, and stretching my boundaries as a model builder. So I thought I'd add a little something more to the base, and I've just got to figure out how to run all the wires through and everything. That's the next part of this base building. So right now, I'm going to start putting these few panels back on, and then I'm going to go out and glass coat this piece so we can finish this plate here and move on to the next step on this build, which will be installing the speakers, the switches, and the power source within the base itself. And then we'll be hooking everything up with the ship. And if you can see, kind of give you another brief glimpse of what I'm aiming for here. You can see the ship hovering above this sci-fi surface. So, it ain't going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty cool for my first time ever trying something like this. So, let's get busy and keep working here. To make my spacers, I have my piece of square tube here. And basically, I'm measuring it to the height of my greebles. Then I use my hobby miter kit here, and very simply just place. This is a very cool tool, along with your saw. And you basically, where did I put my measurement? We're going to put our square tube in here. Make sure we have it all measured out properly. And there we go. We have our spacer cut out. This is a really handy tool. You can pick these up at the Hobby Lobby or any other type of hobby craft store, Michael's. They should have these in stock. Alright guys, we have the base plate finished on the build here for the box, which is going to hold our power and our ship and everything. This is done, so you can see the backdrop to the ship completed. The ship will be hovering over it like this. I like the contrast. I kept purposely the colors very different, as the ship has a very dirty appearance, you know, with the browns and the earth tones. I just really dirtied it up just to make it look like something that's been in and out of atmosphere. It's been seeing a lot of action, scorch marks all over it. So I'm very happy with the way that came out. But I wanted to contrast that a lot with the base plate. Now, still has to be flat coated, but for now, this is going to be the final assembly of the base plate here. Lots of parts involved in this, and everything was cut by hand, everything was shaped by hand. Yeah, I really got to get into 3D printing. But anyway, I got everything together, did a little bit of light weathering on it. I didn't want it to look too worn and beaten like the ship. Again, this is all for contrast, as I wanted this to really stand apart from the ship, so that the ship would just stand right out at you as you're looking at the display. And this would kind of just be the background. There are lights in this building here and this building here, so we'll all see that coming together little by little as we go along. Now we're going to start with the actual box itself. I've already drilled out the holes where we're going to be inserting all our wiring through. And right now what I wanted to talk about was the audio system that we're installing in it. If you saw my build of the Thunderbird 2, which we're going to get back to as soon as we're done with this, because that's still got to get finished. Just another one of these builds that things just keep coming up and I keep getting other ideas, and I really got to stick to one build at a time.
That's a wonderful idea.
So we have the 2 speakers here. They're wired up to our Bluetooth receiver. And this is going to give the audio that we're going to be putting into this little box here. So what we have to do is, this box came from the dollar store. Yeah, we spared no expense on this build. I've already cut out the back of the slide-in drawer that's going to hold all of our stuff. Our power, everything's going to be held inside here. This is going to be battery operated. I was thinking of making it have an external wall plug, but I mean, it's such a small thing. I figured we'll just keep it battery operated so it makes it so I can put it anywhere, take it to a show, display it anywhere, and I don't have to worry about having a place to plug it in. So right now we're just working on where we're going to put our speakers. And what I'm thinking is right back here. If you remember the Thunderbird build, I used the larger size speakers on the Thunderbird build because the casing or the base for the Thunderbird 2 was much larger than this one. For this build, we're going to be using these. They're 8 ohm, 28 millimeter, 2-watt speakers. They're actually the same power input and output as the larger speakers. I've already tested them. They do sound pretty good. So we're going to be installing these into the box, which means that now I have to make a template for the speaker to install into, to place on the box, and then make our cutouts. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Now, the way I normally make my templates, very easy. Let's just keep it simple. I take a piece of masking tape. I place it over the speaker. And basically, I am just going to draw out the speaker where it comes into contact, or where it's going to come into contact with the box. So that we'll leave the outer lip, because we want the outer lip to rest on the box itself and the back of the speaker to sit inside, if you know what I mean, so that the speaker fits flush with the box. And I think this is what we want here. And then we'll go ahead and make our adjustments as necessary in the box. Now, my first thought was to just place the speakers here on the outside of the drawer. And that would be on the sliding end of the drawer here, which would give us easy access to the speakers and to everything there. But I kind of want the handle to be facing the back so that this is all flat here, which is going to make it a little more difficult to install the speakers, as they are small. So I think we can actually get away with putting them right here. Yeah, I think we're going to be able to get away with putting them here, and then we won't come into contact with the drawer. So we just have to make sure that we're not coming into contact with the area of the drawer that needs to be there for the side walls. So we want to bring it in just slightly here. We're going to do the first one, and then that will depend on where we place the second one. I'm going to have to come in a little bit more. I think that that's going to work there. Now, I did consider putting the speakers on the bottom of the box so that they would play outward, but I thought that might muffle them a little too much. So I'm going to go and stick with putting the speakers here in the front. Although, because I'm just going to paint the rest of the box just in a black and leave it at that. And these speakers should blend right into the box. So I think we're just going to go with this. I think this might be the best way to do it. Now that we have our speaker placement, what we're going to do is we're just going to drill out. Hopefully I have enough of a charge left on this Keshi tool. And we're going to drill out the speaker opening here. But I think we're going to have to come a little bit lower. We're going to have to cut open the box here just a little bit more. Okay, I think I'm happy with that position right there for the first speaker. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill out the holes outlining the speaker opening. As you can see, my second batch of cutting here worked out way better than my first, as I learned how to actually, as I figured out how to maneuver the knife. Alright, so now we just have to clean this up so that and hopefully we didn't make the hole too big. The second one should come through quite a bit better than the first one. Alright, so let's see how well this works. Did I screw it up, or did I do exactly what I needed to? Yep, yeah, it's like I kind of made it a little too big. But that's okay, because there's ways around that. Actually, no, it's not actually. It's actually not horrible. Okay, so we're going to install the first speaker here. Is it perfect? Far from it. But I do think I can work with that. And there we go, guys. Of course, they're not sitting totally even, but, hey, it is what it is. I'm not gonna argue with that, because when it's facing down this way, maybe you won't notice it too much. And so now they have to be glued in, then everything gets painted black, or I should paint it black first and then glue it in. And there we go, guys. Now, I'm going to get working on the rest of this. I'm going to have to paint it. And then we're going to start installing all of our goodies into the drawer. So we're going to leave it at that for now. You guys saw the entire base being built, or the entire base panel here being built. You saw the speakers getting installed. Next, it's going to be power source and Bluetooth adapter getting glued into the drawer after we do some priming and painting. Okay, guys, we're going to keep going on this. Okay, guys, we got the base all painted up. We have the base panel installed with all of the greebles that I've built and everything made to really dress that up. And now we're doing just a test fit of the ship over the base. I'm really happy with the way that's coming out. I have to repaint the shaft that's holding the ship up. As when I was positioning it, I scraped off some of the paint. But I'm really happy with the way that's coming out. We still have quite a bit of work to do as far as installing the electronics. Finished all of the redoing all of the wiring. We're test fitting the drawer now that's going to hold all of the electronics in it. But the project's coming together, getting close to being done. Alright guys, I'm going to leave it right there, and we'll be back on the next episode with installing more of the electronics and hopefully finishing this thing up. I'm real happy with the way it's looking, but just wait till you see it all lit up with all of the electronics working. It's going to be fun. So come on back for that, and I'll see you on the next one.